Please place your hand over your heart.
invite the congregation to stand as the family enters the chapel. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for that beautiful special prelude music. Brothers and sisters, we welcome you to the Grove First Ward. I am Bishop Todd Allen. It's my privilege today to be with you to conduct these services. We extend our love and condolences to the Gile family, and we are grateful to be together in support of one another at this time, both in person and through the means of technology. And we extend our love across the country today to many who are joining these services through technology. We are here, obviously, to celebrate a beautiful life, that of Wendell Myron Gile, as many of us know him as Skip. And we love Skip and are grateful to come together today to celebrate his life, a life of service and devotion to family and to faith. We're grateful for Skip's example, and I'm confident today as we gather together as family and friends that we'll feel him close today during the services. Skip was born December 11th, 1939, and passed away peacefully on June 19th, 2020. Brothers and sisters, we will outline these services as follows. First, want to thank our chorister, Sister Jennifer Luce, and our organist and pianist, Sister Jennifer McVeigh. We will open these services by singing together hymn number 293, Each Life That Touches Ours for Good, after which an invocation will be offered by Sister Sharon Carter.
Free Please bless that thou might continue to strive with us as we strike forth to try to better our lives, that we might once, someday, be with thee in thy presence, that we might feel good about the things that we have accomplished in this life, the character, the person that we have become. Please bless that we give comfort to the Gile family at this time, and to all those whose lives have been touched by this gift. Say these things, Father, in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Sister Carter. Brothers and sisters, we will now have a life sketch by Sister Cindy Black. Following Sister Black, we'll have a special musical number, Softly and Tenderly, by members of the Tabernacle Choir in Temple Square, accompanied by Sister Jennifer McVeigh. Following the musical number, we will have remembrances by David and Melanie Hills, and we will go to that point in the service. Sister Black.
Wendell Gile, better known as Skip, since first grade, passed away at the age of 80 on June 19, 2020 in Provo, Utah, due to complications from cancer and its treatment. He was born in the Keaton Hospital in Montpelier, Vermont, on December 11, 1939. He was the son of Roy Myron Gile and Olive Baird Gile of Vermont, who both have preceded him in death. He spent his younger years in communities all over Vermont, wherever his father was working at the time. The last 2 years of high school he spent on his grandfather's farm in Waitsfield Commons in Waitsfield, Vermont. He always cherished those years that he spent with his Baird grandparents. He graduated from Waitsfield High School in 1957 and went directly into the Air Force. After basic training, he spent time at the language training school in Monterey, California. Then a year in Korea, listening to radio transmissions during the time following the Korean War. He returned to the States and spent 5 years at the Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, before he was honorably discharged in 1965. He immediately went to work for IBM in Essex Junction, Vermont, where he was a department technician, programmer, and manufacturing line worker. He retired from IBM with 30 years. Skip had many hobbies and interests. His favorites were bowling, playing cribbage, singing, swimming in the pool with Erica, going to York Beach, Maine to walk on the beach, and Canopy Lake Amusement Park every summer, and spending time with his family. He enjoyed the outdoors and nature. He also was an avid golfer and enjoyed his time out on the course. Shortly after high school, Skip married Phyllis Culver, and they had 2 children together, Jeffrey Culver Gile and Margaret Gile. They later divorced. In 1977, while bowling in a mixed league, Skip met Linda Luce Noyes, the love of his life, and they were married on March 1st, 1984, in Jericho, Vermont, and in Friends' home. Their marriage was later solemnized in the Washington, D.C. Temple on May 8, 1993. Together, they had a daughter, Erica Lynn Gile. He has been a convert into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints since 1991 and has served in many callings: teacher in Sunday school, stake assistant membership clerk, first counselor in the bishopric, bishop, and a high counselor. Skip is survived by his loving wife Linda and daughter Erica Gile Jocelyn, and her husband Tyler and their 18-month-old son Owen Joshua Jocelyn, all of Barry, Vermont. His daughter Margaret Gile of Vermont, and Jeffrey Culver Gile and his girlfriend Tanya Morris of West Valley City, Utah. And Jeff's children, Skip's granddaughters, Megan and Jordan Gile of Vermont. He's also survived by his 6 younger siblings, Sandy and Rodney Griffith of Severn, Maryland, Donald Gile of Waterbury, Vermont, Sharon and Ken Talbert of Lenore, North Carolina, David and Yumi Gile of Merced, California, Jeff Wheeler of Rochester, New York, and Melissa and Rick Osborne of South Berwick, Maine. Also many nieces and nephews. His fight for life since 2001 included 2 heart attacks, 3 strokes, and 2 cancers. The most recent cancer for the past 37 months was not curable, but he fought on. His wife Linda was often heard calling him the ever-ready bunny. He fought a good fight for nearly 19 years and enjoyed every minute possible. He was a great example of enduring to the end and touched many lives by his example. He will be greatly missed. Funeral services will be on Tuesday today, and he will be greatly missed.
Calling, oh sinner, come home.
beautiful, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Melanie, I'm Linda's sister.
And I'm Melanie's husband, David, and Skip's brother-in-law. And we're grateful for the privilege to share some memories that family and friends have submitted.
I'll start with the memories from Erica, or just even Linda's only child. I have so many fond memories of my dad that to only choose a couple has proven to be difficult. I can remember so many summers when my dad and I would plan to go strawberry picking, and the phrase that would usually come out of him was, "So, are you actually going to help pick strawberries?" This was because more often than not I would fill my little pint container and then go sit in the car with my books and dolls to eat what I had picked. He always said it jokingly, knowing that most likely that would be what would happen. Another fond and repeated memory would include our neighbors, the Millers. I loved summertime, as that meant lots of time in the pool with my dad. Well, the boys next door were told that they couldn't come over unless they were invited, so many, many mornings I would be getting ready for the day in the pool, and I would look out my window to see the boys in their driveway just waiting to be invited. I would tell my dad that they were out there, and he would say, "Go tell them to come on over." So we would spend all morning in the pool. At lunchtime, their mom would bring over some food, and she would take over watching us so my dad could get stuff done. We lived in that pool most summer days, only getting out if absolutely necessary. We would break for dinner, then usually took another dip afterwards. He loved spending time outside with all of us kids. I guess one more memory would be how he never missed a dance class of mine or a recital. I think there were a couple of other dads that came periodically, but not my dad. He was always there. Sometimes he would sit in the car when I would go in, because if you know my family, we are early to everything. When my class was about to start, he would be right there with all the other moms. When asked what kind of person my dad was, I will always respond with, he was the kind of person who could be standing in a mud puddle with crap raining on his head, and is asked how he was doing, he would respond with great, good. That's the kind of man he was. One phrase that I would always remember him saying was, "I would rather be 30 minutes early than 30 minutes late, 30 seconds late." I've made that mistake before. We as a family have always lived by that and always will. My dad was a fighter, stronger than anyone I have ever met, until I met my son. He is his grandpa. My dad's fight and determination will live on in my son. I look at my son in amazement all the time, and all I see is that same fight my dad had. I am so glad that my dad got to meet the little man that would carry on his amazing personality and strength. My son will forever have the best guardian angel in the world watching over him.
Yeah, we're a bunch of crybabies. This is from Jeffrey Gile, his only son. My dad was a good man. He was thoughtful, caring, and always willing to help out anyone in need. My dad's answer to the question, "How is it going?" was always the same. "Going good. How about you?" I know that was not always the case over the last 13 plus years, where he fought so hard to stay ahead of the game, never complaining, and with a positive outlook for us all to see. I see a lot of my dad in myself, especially the older I get. I am thankful for those traits that have been passed down to me and make me who I am. My dad was an honest man. I remember taking a day trip to Canada's Park Safari Zoo, having a great time seeing all the animals, going to the petting zoo and having a picnic lunch late in the day before heading back over the border. With the 4th of July approaching and Canada being the only place to get fireworks, I begged my dad to stop before we crossed back into Vermont, and of course, he granted my wishes. And we purchased a substantial amount of fireworks, and I was so happy. My happiness turned to tears as we left the border crossing without any fireworks. "Do you have anything to claim?" the border guard asked, and my father, the honest man that he was, replied, "Yes. We just bought some fireworks down the road. Well, the guards seized the fireworks, explained that they were illegal in Vermont. I think I cried all the way to Burlington that day, but a lesson was taught that I live by today. Like I said, my dad was an honest man. My dad was a compassionate man. When I was 15 years old and starting my driving career, my dad said he would take me to a basketball game that my girlfriend at the time was playing in at our high school. Having just gotten my driving permit, I asked if I could drive, and the answer was yes. Here's the scene. Winter snowstorm, driving from Burlington to my high school in Duxbury in my dad's 1968 Thunderbird with suicide doors. I loved that car. I was in heaven. We made it all the way to Waterbury, unscathed, but the storm was getting worse, so my dad suggested we stop at Grandma Olive's and call the school to see if the game was still on. I pulled into her very steep, short driveway and could not make it. My dad calmly said, put it in reverse and back down into the road and we'll get a run on it. I did just that. And when we backed down on flat ground, my dad said, punch it. Well, he should have said, put the car in drive. Because I forgot that part. And we shot backwards like a bullet and hit the sidewalk, with both mufflers folded against both back tires. In one fell swoop, I had damaged 2 mufflers and 2 tires, money not easily obtained back in those days. He could have easily yelled, screamed, and then grounded me for life, but he didn't. He simply said to me as I was crying, Jeff, it's okay. We will get the car fixed, and you are just learning to drive. Mistakes happen. And they did. 2 weeks later, when I crashed through my Grandma Olive's garage door while practicing reversing in her driveway. Like I said, my dad was a compassionate man. My dad and I did not have to spend all our time together or talk every day. I always knew I was loved.
From Sharon Talbert and Skip's sister. How to begin expressing what my big brother means to me. It's nearly impossible to express all that I could say. But let me try by simply saying, he was my hero. Let me explain by telling you about a family tragedy. This is taken from a newspaper article. Callous farm fire causes 12,000 loss. Roy Gile gets wife and 4 children out of the burning home bought just a year earlier. The building was on a 5-acre farm owned by Roy M. and Olive Baird Gile of Calais, Vermont. The building, along with farm equipment and livestock, were completely destroyed by the fire. Firemen were unable to do anything but remove furniture from the house as the nearest water supply was a quarter-mile away. Upon arrival of the fire department, the barn was completely leveled by flames. What the newspaper article doesn't state is that the family, in their desperate need to get out safely and gather in the family truck, were missing the youngest child, Sharon. Realizing this, it is told that Skip, the oldest brother, went into the burning home and retrieved his youngest sister from her bed. He carried her to safety, and the family was taken in by neighbors. To say that I am grateful is a huge understatement. They've always looked up to Skip as having strength and a loving and caring heart. That strength and his strong faith and determination have served him well over these 8 years. It is the fight and the I can do it and the never give up attitude that sets him apart, especially throughout the struggles he's faced in most recent years. Well done, good and faithful servant. Skip and I shared a love of music and specifically harmony. Years ago, I joined a ladies' barbershop chorus soon after our mother also joined. And lo and behold, soon after Skip and our brother Dell joined a men's barbershop chorus. I was always so proud of them and thrilled to have this love of singing harmony to share with others. Linda also joined a ladies' chorus. This poem reminds me of Skip. I know he is at rest with his Lord while under the blue skies of Vermont and surrounded by those beautiful green mountains from which he came.
Poem is by Kathy J. Paratow. Stand tall, O mighty oak, for all the world to see. Your strength and undying beauty forever amazes me. Though storm clouds hover around you, your branches span the sky. In search of the radiant sunlight you count on to survive. When the winds are high and restless and you lose a limb or two, it only makes you stronger. We could learn so much from you. Though generations have come and gone and brought about such change, quietly you've watched them all, yet still remain the same. I only pray God gives me the strength He's given you to face each day with hope, whether skies are black or blue. Life on earth is truly a gift. Every moment we must treasure. It's the simple things we take for granted that become our ultimate pleasure.
Thoughts from Sandy Griffith, Skip's sister. How do I pick one memory out of so many of my brother Skip? He was a very loving brother and always thinking of others before himself. He would talk me into anything, like putting our hands on freshly painted stones at a relative's driveway and then smirking. Love and miss you, dear brother, till we meet again, Sandy.
This is from David Gile, Skip's brother. Skip was a good athlete in his youth. While living in Windsor, Vermont, he played football on a high school football team. Although not as large as many of the other team members or opponents, his athletic prowess and drive to support his fellow team members made him an asset to his team and a formidable opponent. As the oldest male child in the Baird family offspring, Skip began a tradition of working on the farm during summer vacations to help his grandfather during the haying season. This also involved planting crops, milking cows, and cutting and stacking wood for the oncoming chills of the Vermont winters. Skip was a good student in school and even graduated the top 10 of his class at Waitsville High School in Waitsville, Vermont. But then, so did the other 9 students. Yes, there were just 10 graduating seniors. Skip commuted from Warren, Vermont to Essex Junction, Vermont, a distance of 45 miles to work at IBM. Working the midnight shift for several of those years, he often found time to stop at his mother's or sister's house for a quick visit along the way.
Thoughts from Sharon Carter, Linda's sister and Skip's sister-in-law. Things I remember about Skip are mostly after his fight began with all his different health trials. I loved how he would always have a cheery greeting for me no matter what he was going through. He was quite the trooper, and he would try and do what he could even if it was very difficult for him, like putting on his own socks with one hand. He always did what he could, such as helping me with cleaning the bathroom and getting himself into the car. He would even open the door for me. He also enjoyed giving treats to their cat Simba. Simba was a great couch buddy when Skip watched his TV shows in the living room. He loved watching the old westerns like Laramie and John Wayne movies. He especially loved the Hallmark specials. I was always amazed that after being a member of the church for only about 7 years, he was called into the bishopric, and just about 2 years later, he was made bishop. That speaks volumes of the kind of man he was.
This is from Fred Luce, his brother-in-law. My fondest memories of Skip were of Skip and family gatherings at their house, with everyone enjoying the pool. Skip would man the grill and hand out the hot dogs and hamburgers with a big smile. And you've heard Erica's story about the pool, and we would go back there for vacation, and the pool was great. And I'm thinking, I lived in Vermont my high school years. I never saw anybody with an in-ground pool in Vermont, because Vermont, winter is 10 months long, and then you might have a month or 2 of summer. And I know it's known for fall, but really fall, it's 2 weeks, okay? 2 weeks of foliage. But here he is with this pool, and it was lots of fun, and I'm sure the Bernie Vermonters used it more than a month or 2. It was great. He was just such a family man.
These are thoughts from Cindy Black, his sister-in-law and Linda's sister. I have known Skip for 43 years. I have seen him transition medically from a 2-pack-a-day smoking habit to quitting cold turkey in 1991, and no symptoms from the withdrawal due to a priesthood blessing. He was often described as being strong as a bull. Then he had the heart attacks and the stroke, but through physical therapy and exercise he got strong enough to horseback ride and do daily walks. Eventually the cancers came, and again he was weakened and tested. Being teachable has always been his standard response to whatever came his way. I hope to be like him. No one can totally fathom the team called Linda and Skip and what they have gone through and overcome except God and Linda and Skip. I am grateful for their teamwork example to me.
This is from David Hill's brother-in-law. I'm just excited. Like I said, we grew up in Vermont during the same high school, but we came out here and stayed in Utah after going to college, but we'd go back and visit. Often stayed with Linda and Skip. They were so welcoming. It was great. Now, Skip, it turns out, besides being good at many things, was really good at horseshoes. And he would beat me. Him and Bill, they were a great team, just a good buddy. And I was there for a week or two. Now, you know what? I'm going to practice really hard because he's an old guy, right? So he was probably like early 40s, and I was a 5-year-old or something. And I practiced. And of course, I did not beat him at the end of the week. And it didn't matter. Skip didn't care one way or the other. He was just happy to play. That's the kind of guy he was. He was a great winner or a loser. He was just glad to be associated. Anyways, I thought, well, that's good. He lives there. I mean, he had the horseshoe thing set up. You know, that's all the thing. And that was my story. And then Linda asked me to read memories. And then I see she inserted a comment at the end of my story that I'm going to read that adds insult to injury because it says, Linda says that he only played during family get-togethers. He rarely practiced. He was just a natural. Okay, so all my practicing for 2 weeks, that's probably as much as he had played in 5 years. Yes. All right, she's a great.
Remembrance from Jennifer Luce, Skip's sister-in-law. Love, love, love his patriotic stars and striped shorts. It always brought a smile to my face when I saw him wearing those. I'll be sad to see those go. I should maybe give them to her. Sitting in front of you guys in church, hearing his sweet, soft tenor voice, sing along with Linda always made my heart swell. These are thoughts from Emily Hills, which is our daughter-in-law, Skip's nephew's wife. I had not been introduced to Skip, but I remember one Sunday night, David, my father-in-law, had made cookies and taken them out of the oven and placed them on the cooling rack. Skip wandered over near the cookies to take one, and David reached over and batted his hand away and told him that they had not yet cooled. I was not sure what to initially make of this, but I could quickly tell by the smile on their faces that this was all in good jest, and perhaps it was not the first time Skip had tried to sneak a cookie before it was officially ready.
I'm kind of particular about my cookies and serving them when they're ready. And he's not the only family member that would try and sneak some. I won't name names, but someone that gave the life sketch is known to do that. This is from Ken and Christy Bush, their family friends. This past week has brought back to us so many fond memories of Skip. One of our favorite scriptures is Matthew 5:16, which reads, quote, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." End quote. This is certainly how we will remember Skip. His light did shine, and he exemplified this in his life. Bonnie H. Gordon, the Relief Society General President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, has said, quote, "The Lord's invitation to let our light so shine is not just about randomly waving a beam of light and making the world generally brighter. It is about focusing our light so others may see the way to Christ." Skip was a beam of light, and he helped so many others see the way to Christ, including us. We met Linda, Skip, and Erica at a family party at Norma and Walt Luce, Linda's dad, Waterbury home more than 30 years ago. The Luces had lovingly adopted us early after our move to Vermont, largely because we had no family connection so far from our Western roots. Over time, Skip and Linda certainly became a dear brother and sister to us as well. Because the Giles started attending church with us in Montpelier, an hour's drive from their home in Jericho, fast friends. They were valiant in attending each Sunday as a family where they could be with Linda's parents and many other fond associates in the congregation. We became very close as young family, in part because we had a daughter near Erica's age, and also because we shared so many common interests with Skip and Linda. Cherished memories of Skip and the Gile family are encompassed about gatherings where they invited us into their lives, dinners and festivities at major events such as Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving dinner in particular. Our two families, along with other friends, celebrated birthdays and enjoyed numerous pool parties at their home. Everyone loved Skip's pool. As our children grew, we had several overnight outings to Canopy Lake in Houston Park, New Hampshire. We'll always remember Skip, Linda, and Erica on the log ride, a Bush Gile family favorite. We look forward to those Canopy Lake outings each summer and still cherish those memories. Skip had a great appreciation for good food. A special note was his Portuguese soup, which he would bring to our church potlucks. It was always a hit. He introduced us to White Ruffy on the grill, and in turn, Christy treated him to her teriyaki chicken and special yummy potatoes, also known as funeral potatoes in the West. We made a point of serving them every time Skip and Linda came to visit Vermont after they moved to Florida and Utah. Christy says she still thinks of Skip whenever she slides a pan of those potatoes into the oven. But of all the memories we have of Skip, the most cherished is how we watched him grow in the gospel, especially when we attended the Essex War to witness his being set apart as a bishop. With little complaint and valiant spirit, Skip endured to the end. Even after he suffered a heart attack, stroke, and cancer diagnosis, he never gave up hope. Elder Marvin J. Lashman, an apostle in the church, described enduring this way, quote, "Greatness is best described by how well an individual responds to the happenings in life that appear to be totally unfair, unreasonable, and undeserved. Sometimes we are inclined to put up with a situation rather than endure. To endure is to bear up under, to stand firm against, to suffer without yielding, to continue to be, or to exhibit a state or power of lasting." End quote. Skip Gile exemplified all of these attributes.
He touched so many of us with his faith, love, good humor, and example. We will miss him. Lastly, these are stories that his wife, Linda, heard Skip tell about his years on Grandpa's farm and some other remembrances from his life. He was still a rather mischievous young man on the farm when he was 16 and 17. To get a day off from school, he and his cronies filled up the entrance of the school with neighbors' firewood. Only they got caught. Oh, the students got the day off, except Skip and his cronies had to return every stick of firewood. One Halloween, he and his buddies towed every piece of farm equipment from a number of farms down to town center in Waitsfield, 5 to 10 miles. Another time, he hoisted a Holstein calf in a 55-gallon drum up to the top of a flagpole, calf falling the whole way up. Skip had a strange sense of humor. His favorite movie of all time, one he went to about 10 times, even before I knew him, was Harold and Maude. To say it was odd would be an understatement. I saw it in the theater once with Skip, which was enough for me, but I will watch it once in a while in his remembrance. After his major stroke in 2007, in 5.5 weeks in rehab in Vermont, we moved to Ocala, Florida. We enjoyed attending a stroke club meeting twice a month, getting out every day to walk. But most memorable for Skip was going horseback riding every week for an hour. It's called therapeutic riding. The program is designed for people like Skip. He did that for 5 years and enjoyed every minute with the 2 horses, Barney and Fritz, and with their handler, Ed. He went to Challenge Cup every year and even competed in Special Olympics the last year he was there. He won many ribbons, including 2 medals. He strived for perfection every time he rode. At one of the competitions, Barney's saddle had loosened up and eventually it just twisted around and Skip was left laying on the ground, looking under Barney's belly. Skip was fine. These horses that people in Skip's condition can ride are nearly bulletproof. Those were the best times. Skip's time to make lemonade out of lemons. It has been stated by many that knew him, he rarely complained about anything and never said, "Woe is me." He took everything he had to go through in stride. We do all we can, but know that we are not in control. President Nelson said, quote, "Our happiness and joy has little to do with the circumstances of our lives and everything to do with our focus. Skip, we'll be together again. Love you eternally, Linda."
My brothers and sisters, this has been a beautiful service. I'm grateful for all that have participated with what has been shared, both in spoken word and in beautiful music that has been shared. Truly a fitting tribute to a great man. Following my remarks, we'll conclude this service by singing hymn number 193, "I Stand All Amazed." The benediction will then be offered by Brother Greg Black. Graveside service will be Friday, July 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain at the Maple Street Cemetery in Waterbury Center, Vermont. The dedication of the grave will be by Walter L. Luce, father-in-law. We remind the family as well that there will be a meal following our service provided by the Relief Society of the Grove Firstborn, and we invite you to stay with us and enjoy that time together as a family. Brothers and sisters, it's my privilege to share a few remarks with you, and I'm honored again to be with you today in this setting. I miss my friend Skip. I love Skip Gile. He's a wonderful man, and it's been my privilege as his bishop to be able to stand by and learn from him and his example over these past years together. And I'm grateful for him. A few observations of Skip from my perspective. First, his dedication to family. Skip loved his family. And I had some sweet moments with him. One that comes to mind, especially that's crystal clear in my mind, the day before he passed away. Linda had invited me down to the hospital, and we weren't sure at that time if the hospital was going to allow me to come, and I was grateful that they were willing to allow me to come and spend those moments with Skip and Linda in a very sacred setting. But I want you to go with me for a moment as I describe this scene as I walked in to this hospital room. And as we sat together, it was a very tender moment to see Skip and Linda sitting beside one another, holding one another's hands. Simple act, simple gesture, spoke volumes to me. That in what was to be the final moments that they would have together on this earth, they were united. And their love, as spoken of in the remembrances that were shared, was evident, very clear. Their devotion to one another, their commitment to one another. I asked Skip in that setting, after we spoke of many things that day, if he was concerned about Linda and how she would be following his returning home. He said he was. It was a very sacred and tender moment to see the love and devotion that this man had to his sweet companion. That again, in these final moments, his concern was not for himself, but for her and her well-being. It was an equally sweet moment for me to see the calm reassurance from Linda, no doubt who was maybe a bit scared, and certainly been devastated by the mere thought of losing her companion. And yet in faith, she assured him that she would be okay, that the Lord would care for her, and that sweet family members who had been sent close to her, along with friends and board members and others who would come to her support, that she would be able to press forward. That was a sacred moment in that hospital room that day. I'm grateful for what I saw and witnessed, to see this great couple draw even closer together. Another observation of Skip, his devotion to our Father in heaven and to the Savior Jesus Christ. Again, as his bishop, I had the opportunity to speak of spiritual things with him. And I want all who are here today and all who are joining electronically to know of the great commitment that this man had to his God. I stand as a witness of it. I stand as a witness that he did indeed know the Savior Jesus Christ, and that he was prepared for this experience. I will miss the opportunity it's been a while since I've been in this chapel, standing in this pulpit, but I will miss seeing my friend Skip, who was ever faithful in attending on Sunday. I know that there were many days where he did not feel well, probably most days that he did not feel well, and certainly would have every reason in the world to remain home. And yet he pressed forward with faith, with devotion, recognizing the importance of worship on Sunday, recognizing the importance of the sacrament ordinance and the peace that comes into our lives as we partake of that sacrament and recommit ourselves each week to the Savior. My daughter Morgan, I mentioned to Linda, my 8-year-old Morgan, had mentioned to me how much she'll miss Skip. How oftentimes she would come out after sacrament meeting, and Skip was there to greet many members of our congregation, but to see and hear the impact that my friend Skip had on my own daughter, and the kind words that he would share, not just with my daughter, but with the many children in our ward, again speaks volumes about who this man really is. So grateful for him. Linda, if I could, I'd like to speak to you for a moment. My dear friend, first I need you to know how much I love you, how special you are to me. And I am so grateful, again, for the interactions that we've had over the years and for the opportunity I've had to come close with you and Skip. But I want to promise you, this day I feel compelled to share with you, and promise you in the name of the Lord, as one who holds keys as a bishop, that because of your faithfulness, and because of the faithfulness of your sweet companion, I know that the Lord will provide some very sacred experiences for you. Experiences that you may not even share because of their sacred nature. But I know that Skip will be close to you over the months and years ahead. I know that you will feel his presence and influence in your life. And I promise that you will. As you remain faithful, as you press forward, as you keep your covenants, the Lord will extend those tender mercies to you. I know that will happen. And I'm grateful for that reassurance this day. I know also that you have a wonderful ward family, individuals that I love with all my heart, that will continue to watch over you over the years ahead, as well as this wonderful family, both here in person and joining from technology. Many who love you, Linda, and who will watch over you. My friends, I know that Skip would not have me speak just of him during this service, but speak of the Savior. So I want to conclude with just a few scriptures, if I could, along with some words from our beloved prophet, President Nelson. Concerning the state of the soul between death and the resurrection, behold, it has been made known unto me that the spirits of all men, as soon as they are departed from this mortal body, are taken home to that God who gave them life. The spirits of those who are righteous are received into a state of happiness, which is called paradise, a state of rest, a state of peace. I know that's where Skip is today, in that paradise, in that state of peace and happiness. And I'm grateful for that reassurance as we, at times when going through these experiences, wonder where our loved ones are, brothers and sisters. We know where they are, and that is in paradise. And we can have peace and confidence knowing that. President Nelson, our beloved prophet, taught, loving relationships continue beyond the doors of death and judgment. Family ties endure because of sealings in the temple. Their importance cannot be overstated. Eternal life is available to all who prepare for it, the requirements of which have been clearly revealed. Ye must press forward with a steadfastness in Christ, having a perfect brightness of hope and a love of God and of all men. Wherefore, if ye shall press forward, feasting upon the word of Christ, and endure to the end, behold, thus saith the Father, ye shall have eternal life. The Lord said, fear not unto death, for in this world your joy is not full. But in me your joy is full. He bestowed this gift. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And finally, brothers and sisters, one of my favorite scriptures out of the book of Mosiah. And if Christ had not risen from the dead, or had broken the bands of death, that the grave should have no victory, and that death should have no sting, there could have been no resurrection. But there is a resurrection. Therefore the grave hath no victory, and the sting of death is swallowed up in Christ. He is the light, and the life of the world, yea, a light that is endless, that can never be darkened, yea, and also a life which is endless, that there can be no more death. I conclude, brothers and sisters, with this sweet reminder from the prophet. He says, as a special witness of Jesus Christ, I testify that he lives. I also testify that the veil of death is very thin. I know by experiences too sacred to relate that those who have gone before us are not strangers to us and to you. Our loved ones may be just as close as the next room, separated only by the doors of death. With that assurance, brothers and sisters, love life. Cherish each moment as a blessing from God. Then the anticipation of death shall not hold you hostage. With the help of the Lord, your deeds and desires will qualify you to receive everlasting joy, glory, and eternal lives. My friends, I add my testimony this day that Jesus is the Christ, that he lives, that we can have hope and peace because of him and because of all that he accomplished. I hope that we leave today, wherever we may be spread across this country, that we leave more committed to follow the Savior, as Skip did. That we find ourselves making those necessary course corrections and changes in our lives to draw close to him. I agree with the music that was shared, that softly and tenderly, brothers and sisters, Jesus Christ calls to each of us. He desires this closeness, this close relationship with us. And as we come unto him and follow him, we can have the promised peace and blessings that come from the Prince of Peace. I witness and testify of him this day, that he lives, that because of him, we will see our dear friend again, Skip Gile. I so testify in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
shown us. Grateful to the men in attendance for this wonderful tribute to his life. For his graduation, actually, from this earth life to soar and go beyond, and to be able to